From our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Peter Murphy begins now.
4 weeks since Budget Day and Tasmania's finances are seemingly going from bad to worse, while the Prime Minister's election victory tour landed him in the middle of the state campaign, hoping his newfound popularity rubs off on his local counterparts.
After making his own election victory look like child's play,
That looks like the dog. Oh, it's pretty close.
Anthony Albanese assumes the role of daddy daycare on the state campaign.
I'm Anthony. And I'm Dean. And this is Dean.
As Labor promises to break the drought in Tasmania's childcare deserts.
We will step in and make sure there's childcare available for every regional community. We'll start on the west coast of Tasmania.
The Liberal Party adding a fresh coat of paint to its housing policy, hoping to freshen up the stagnating rate of new home builds with strict approval timeframes for councils.
If applications are not approved within the 28 days, they will be deemed approved. And that gives certainty, it gives stability, and it gives confidence.
But budget repair is proving an uphill battle. Treasury's pre-election financial outlook scrapping the $10 billion debt forecast for 2028 in last month's budget, predicting it to climb by $3 billion.
The Treasury truth bomb.
The state's bean counters pleading for spending restraint with election commitments as we grapple with unsustainably rising debt. Treasury says immediate action is needed, calling for a mix of increased revenue and slash spending, while specifically calling out the size of Tasmania's public service. The Treasurer, though, says this is proof his torpedoed budget had it right, because the report shows a world where the flow-on impact of government decisions was not included.
Their projections in the budget, they weren't believable. They had projections in the budget that haven't been achieved this century. And what that means is they keep coming to Parliament and asking for more money.
Nick Kelly, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmanians have been urged to embrace change and the extensive social benefits of a Macquarie Point Stadium during day one of the Planning Commission hearings. The next 2 weeks will prove crucial under the project of state significance legislation, with many big names set to take the stand.
Kicking off 10 days of submissions, Victorian lawyer Christopher Townsend, representing the state government, solely had the stand today after 2 unsuccessful attempts to postpone the hearings. In his speech, he asked Tasmanians to consider the opportunities that the project presents and be willing to embrace change, arguing the build could generate significant employment and be a catalyst for investment over time. Even comparing the project to Melbourne's Marvel Stadium and the diverse range of events it hosts, many of which are far from AFL-centric, a point that anti-stadium group Our Place Hobart dispute.
The proposed stadium is not comparable with any other stadium. It has no space around it. Marvel has the Docklands around it, MCG has gardens, Adelaide has gardens.
We believe it is too expensive. It's something that we can't afford and that we don't need.
This afternoon saw various concept designs of the structure and what it would look like from different angles around Hobart. The proponent arguing that whilst visible, it doesn't overly impact city sightlines, suggesting if you were born tomorrow and saw that building in that context, you would see a building that's a part of your city. Players on both sides of the stadium debate are set to make their submissions in coming days, including Brendan Gale, Hobart Council and Cricket Tasmania, the latter co-signing an agreement with the Premier and Cricket Australia, promising to work together on the design of the stadium's roof. While the Prime Minister ruled out adding to its prior investment promise during his Tassie doorstop.
Our funding is capped. It's for urban development there at the Macquarie Point site.
Do we really want to say no to a $240 million investment from the federal government, which will go if this doesn't go ahead?
The hearing continues tomorrow. Ruby Cairns, 7 Tasmania News.
A driver has been seriously injured following a dramatic police chase in an allegedly stolen car in Cambridge. Police say they spotted the car being driven dangerously near Kennedy Drive around 2 p.m. Officers tried to intercept the driver, who then took off and smashed into another car near Belbins Road before flipping onto its side. The other driver managed to escape without injury.
She had a passenger with her. They're obviously shaken up. It's quite a scary and dramatic incident to have happened to you.
Investigations are still underway. Tasmanians managed to escape much of the weather whiplash overnight, but extremely high tides are still a concern. Abnormally high tide warnings remain in place for parts of the state. Reporter Rebecca Gaetoneris has more. What can you tell us, Beck?
The Bureau warns we're not out of the woods just yet, Murph. Sea levels are expected to rise around 1.7 metres in some parts of southern Tasmania tonight. It follows low-lying areas like Lauderdale, Sandy Bay and Huonville being inundated last night. Several car parks and jetties submerged. The Bureau says last night's tide levels were the highest recorded this year. Tonight could bring similar levels around Lindisfarne and across much of the Derwent.
At high tide tonight, still be able to cause impacts. They will be less than we saw last night.
Minor flood warnings still remain in place for the North and South Esk rivers tonight. Conditions are expected to start easing from tomorrow, but the latest updates can be found on the Tas Alert app. Murph.
Thanks very much, Rebecca. Overworked and understaffed medical imaging nurses at the Royal Hobart Hospital are the latest to find themselves locked in an ugly industrial action dispute. And they're not alone. The impacts of a health system buckling under pressure hitting our paramedics on the front line.
Responsible for delivering medical imaging, now they're painting a dire picture of their own.
Staff are feeling burnt out and fatigued. There will be an impact on patient safety.
At breaking point, staff feel they've been left with no other choice but to beef up strikes.
No forced overtime, a ban on non-nursing duties, and taking an additional fatigue break if they are required to do excessive on-call duties.
Locked in talks with the health department since January, the nurses' union says a solution is no closer.
There are no short-term solutions in what the department have put forward, which means that today and tomorrow there's no change on the ground.
The health department says it's disappointed industrial action has been activated but will work to minimise impact on patient services. 6 months on, both major parties say the conversation line's still open.
Sitting down and working together on ensuring that we are focusing, which we are, on recruitment and retention.
They're in huge stress. They are under the pump in a way that I can't understand, begin to understand, and we need to work with them.
They'll have some serious talking to do, nurses giving bad report cards across the board.
74% of them are wanting to take industrial action due to the significant burden of unsafe staffing levels across every hospital in the state at the moment.
They're not the only ones under the pump. Staffing woes also plaguing paramedics, the Greens seeing red over solo shifts.
Paramedics are not able to provide the level of care that's needed because how can they when they're driving an ambulance at the same time as trying to care for a patient?
Calling for the pressures of a single workload to be wiped out for good. Victoria Easto, 7 Tasmania News.
Independent candidate Christy Johnston claims the Liberals and Labor have already laid bare their stance on pokies by displaying candidates' posters in pubs and other gambling precincts. She says both parties should follow suit with the mainland and introduce mandatory pokies pre-commitment cards.
This would demonstrate that they're not in the pockets of the federal group and the THA and the pokie machine industry.
The Liberals say they're keeping a close eye on other states but reaffirm a national approach is needed, while Labor remains tight-lipped about its plans for pokies reforms.
Told at the start of the season they'd lose every game by 150 points. The step up to Premier League has been a big one for Brighton, but not that big. Still chasing that elusive inaugural victory though, a chance could come this weekend against Glenorchy, a side they got within 31 points of in the opening round.
They're seeing that progress. Like they understand now that when they play the way they want to play, they can really compete with even the best teams.
Meanwhile, the Tigers women's side is hoping ladder leaders North Hobart's 8 rep players are still feeling the effects of the weekend's game.
I think we just need to back ourselves a bit more. Like, we know we've got the skills and the talent in the team to be at the standard that North Hobart are at, so I definitely think that it's possible.
The Demons atop the ladder, the Tigers sitting in third. An assistant coaching stint in the Philippines with a squad that included her younger sister was perfect prep for Tiger spinner Lauren Smith as she prepares to step into a bigger mentoring role in her 12th season of cricket and third in Tassie.
I think I'm a part of my game where I want to be a little bit more of a leader in the spin space. So we have a couple of young girls that I really want to take under my wing.
Eligible for dual citizenship, Smith sees a pathway to national duties in her mother's home country of the Philippines. Amidst an unpredictable season, there have been no easy wins for the Challengers men's team coming into a doubleheader this weekend. They'll face the Waverley Falcons on Saturday before the Nunawading Inspectors on Sunday as they make a break for the top four.
A bit of a crazy league considering there's two wins between second and about 14th or 15th. So yeah, it doesn't get any easier this weekend. Coming off a loss to top-tier Knox, the women's focus is accuracy in front of the board.
I think we're number one for pace in the competition. We just haven't been able to find that rhythm offensively in terms of knocking those shots down.
The women are sitting 16th on the ladder. Well, they were the underdogs who made history, and now 3 decades later, the Launceston Tornadoes are reuniting to relive their greatest triumph. The 1995 national champions are being celebrated for a win that changed the game for women's sport in Tasmania.
Doesn't drop and it's all over. They're absolutely ecstatic.
The year is 1995 and the Launceston Tornadoes have just done the unthinkable, defying all odds to become national CBA champions.
Unreal. I just can't believe it. Excellent. I don't know. I can't really say how I feel.
Arriving home, greeted like rock stars, trophy in hand, is a moment 1995 captain Liz Dixon calls one of the highlights of her life.
I still get goosebumps when I look back on that. It was just amazing, just an incredible feeling.
That unforgettable win didn't just put Launceston on the sporting map, it lit a path for female athletes right across Tasmania.
To be able to win, as I said, for the community, but also to inspire young girls to then go on and achieve things.
One of those young girls was Zoe Mesman, now head coach of the current Tornadoes squad, who was just 7 years old when it happened.
They just knew how to play as a team, they knew how to connect, they knew how to make sure that everyone felt valued on a team.
Now 30 years on, that legendary squad is reuniting next weekend for a special celebration. There'll be team dinners and the 1995 heroes will sit courtside as today's Tornadoes play their final home game of the season.
We have that phrase, once a torn, always a torn, because it's part of that community, part of that family, and you always will be.
Lily Thompson.
Basketball is our game! Oi, oi, oi!
7 Tasmania News.
Good evening. Hobart and Burnie only just reaching double digits today with 10 degrees. Launceston and Devonport recorded 12. It remained cool right across the state. Lowhead managed 12 degrees. 11 in St Helens and on King Island. Bushy Park 10. Smithton, Friendly Beaches and Strawn 9. 8 in Grove. And Lyowini didn't shift past 0 degrees today. Incredible. Low cloud pushed towards the west and south. The highest rainfall was 54 millimetres at Henty Canal in the 24 hours to 9 a.m. A frontal band and associated low remains to the east of Tasmania. Tomorrow high advances over SA and Western Victoria, extending a ridge to the west. West-southwesterly winds across all coastal waters increasing up to 30 knots. About the east, west-southwesterly swells building to 4.5 metres in western and southern waters. A strong wind warning has been issued for coastal waters between east of Flinders Island to southeast Cape tomorrow. A road weather alert is in place for the Central Plateau. A minor flood warning remains for the North Esk River and also extends to the South Esk River as well. A warning to bushwalkers in the Western and Central Plateau forecast districts, and a warning too for sheep graziers in the southeast. Hobart partly cloudy tomorrow, 14, much the same in Cygnet 13. 13 also in New Norfolk after a morning frost. Launceston -1 the low, aiming for 12 tomorrow with cloudy skies, a bit of cloud in Devonport 13, a cool start for Campbelltown, 10's the maximum. 14 and cloudy in Burnie, showery in Strawn 13, 14 and a possible shower in Smithton. 14 and mostly sunny in St Helens, Swansea 14 also, with partly cloudy conditions, 11 in Fingal after a morning frost. A foggy and icy start inland on Friday, otherwise fine apart from light showers about the west. Another inland frost on Saturday. Showers are likely to fall about the west, with light showers extending later towards the north. And on Sunday, showers continue about the west and north, extending statewide later, but they will contract to the northeast throughout the afternoon. To mainland conditions now for Thursday. A few showers in Melbourne 13, becoming cloudy in Sydney 16, but fine and sunny in Perth, and they're chasing 20 degrees. Clear but cool across the state. Hobart 6 degrees, also 6 in Devonport and 5 in Launceston. And that is the midweek weather forecast tonight, Murph.
Yeah, looking a bit chilly, Kaya. Thank you very much. Can't wait till it warms up in October. That's our news for now. I'll be back later with updates. Thanks for joining us. Good night.